back to the channel. Welcome to a live stream. It has been a while since I have done one of these. I wish it was under better circumstances, but sadly, this is just the case now where Chelsea is going through a pretty bad, is it a patch? Is it a pit? Is it a never-ending spiral of regressing? What is it? We will talk about the state of our club and everything that's been going on. Of course, looking ahead to tomorrow, which is a big day for many reasons, and we'll get through those as well. To everybody who's here, welcome, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope everyone is well. It's been so long since I've been live on this channel, guys. I've been hiding away in my match reviews, but I really appreciate everyone who is here, and hopefully we can make this a regular, guys. I'm planning on resuming the lives and hopefully speaking to you guys a little bit more often now. There is a lot to talk about. Sadly, it's not all good news, and we can't really talk about wins and positives and good results and great performances because we are going through a pretty rough time. But to everyone who's joining, hello, welcome. Please hit the like button, guys, on the stream. If you haven't done so already, leave us a like, and of course get involved in the comments. As always, let me say hello to some people in the chat. Hello to everyone. Hi Ryan. Hello Kai. Hi Charlotte, hope you're well. I am well, thank you very much. I hope you are too. Which I imagine you are. Didn't have a bad weekend. Hello, Elliot. Big up to yourself. Hope your day is going well also. Yeah, that's right. Smash the likes and subscribe if you are new around here. It's Monday night. It's a new week, guys. Chelsea play Tuesday night. And after a really terrible weekend, we are hoping, well, we're not hoping. This absolutely must be 3 points, nothing else. Hello to you. Hello, been a long time since the lives, that's right, but we are back. Good evening to you, Sam. Hello, Matt. Thank you very much for joining me. At least you're enjoying your season, is all I can say. Super Frank, what a man. Very happy for you guys. Thank you very much for joining. Hello to you. Hello there. Well, guys, where to begin? Because there is so much to talk about. And like I said, it's not all good news. Well, it's not good news at all, really, is it? Sadly, another weekend, another loss. I titled my match review that it was a pathetic performance, and someone ridiculed it and said that pathetic was a bit harsh. But I stand by the fact that we lost that game in a very pathetic manner. A big goalkeeping error once again, but also bigger than that. The outfield players let us down. There were chances created and there were chances missed. And ultimately, it came down to, once again, the opposition scoring their chances. Aston Villa didn't score worldy goals. They didn't blow us away with their goals, but they just scored literally a couple of their chances. And there they are. They could have scored more as well, but we should have killed that game off. We took the lead, guys, very early on, minute 9. And somehow I just half celebrated that goal because I know and I'm well aware that from winning positions, we've dropped many points. Whether we concede first or score first, the outcome seems to be the same. How sad is that? That, you're sat there just knowing what the rest of the game is going to be like. So I was correct. I mean, I thought we could at least try and grind out a draw in the end, which still would have been subpar. But then to lose the game like that, yeah, no words. So again, sent the fan base into turmoil, and yeah, rightfully so. But honestly, guys, tomorrow night, Southampton, this is a must-win game. There is no if, buts, or maybes. Nothing else apart from 3 points will be accepted. And yes, while we're going into every game with a lack of confidence, with all due respect, Southampton have 9 points this season. They are the bottom of the table, and we must win. I read that there was a stat and something along the lines of, in terms of most errors made that have led to goal scoring opportunities or something like that, Southampton are first, Chelsea are second. So that's a lovely little stat there. But I absolutely think that whatever we do, and I think we'll go for something very similar to what we saw against Aston Villa, it will have to work in this game, because again, we wanted Maresca to change something, and he did. And for the most part, I think that had it been a better collective performance, had we finished some of those chances, we could have won that game. Ryan, thank you very much for the super chat. It says, big up Nina, the best Chelsea content creator, going live as often as Chelsea win a game. Wow, burn. I'm enjoying football right now. Of course you are. Just imagine we win the league before the Chelsea game and Caicedo has to give us a guard of honour. Now. Let's simmer down there. Yeah, I don't really know what to respond with to that one, Ryan. Of course, yeah, it's been a very, very, very tough period for us. And I thought, I was very optimistic that it was only going to be a rough patch when we kind of started to lose games. And obviously the Everton draw it snowballed into a series of bad results. But we've also dropped form massively, and we only look like a shadow of ourselves. And to think, guys, that we play Southampton at home tomorrow. Southampton away was one of our brightest moments, our highest moments this season. How quickly we have fallen from singing we've got our Chelsea back to giving Enzo Maresca his flowers that game to now suddenly saying we must win because we've won 2 out of 10 games. And that is just unacceptable. And to feel the way we do at this point last season is simply unacceptable. To think a year has passed and our feelings are very much the same, that is unacceptable. But thank you very much, Ryan, for your super chat. It's very, very much appreciated. But yeah, guys, honestly, where to start? Of course, we all know, and if this is news to any of you here, then I also will tell you again. Tomorrow, 6 p.m, before the Southampton game, Chelsea fans are gathering at Bovril Gate. And they will voice their concerns. I will be there. We will be there before the game. And of course, it is something that must be addressed. There's a variety of opinions regarding this protest, but I think it's so important that one thing is clear, is that there needs to be some sort of message sent out that we are no longer sure where we're headed. We don't know what's going on. There is a lack of clarity with what the ambitions are. It seems that our ambitions as fans don't align with the ownerships. And again, there is a lack of clarity with regards to what it is that is going on. Where are we headed? What does this future look like at Chelsea? Because we can't continue in these ways. We have said, and we have for the longest time said, that there were so many problems and so many recruitment holes that have ultimately led us to find ourselves not even mid-season anymore, way past that, struggling to come up with new creative ideas to get a result, literally just to get a result. Obviously that's going to happen tomorrow. So I don't know how many of you are in and around London or can get yourself there. Of course, don't feel, if you can't, or if you're in a different country, that, you're going to be missing out. If you're seeing these concerns, if you're voicing them, if you're talking about them, if you're on social media, then you are still doing just as much as the next Chelsea fan who's going to be there. So, of course, tomorrow, guys, 6 p.m. before the game. Now, right, let's talk about, of course, I haven't spoken to you guys about this for a while, but if you have been a regular viewer and you've watched my channel, even last season when I used to do lives a little bit more often, I always used to firstly look at the ownership. We've had lots of conversations about the owners, and we've had multiple discussions regarding how, for me, it's always been above the sort of the manager. Like, for me, the manager is just the surface level of the problem. And, if you want to look at it in layers, the manager is just the layer that will voice everything that comes from up above. So, he speaks out, he will talk for the players, he will talk for the owners, he will talk about what he's been told. I'm really sorry, I think my camera just keeps zooming me out and in. I'm a bit blurry. Okay, that's better. But yeah, I've always looked further than just the manager, and I think that's why I maybe was pottering until a very late period of time when people had already jumped on the bandwagon that he needs to go. And again, I think I was Poch in a lot further than until a later point than other fans, because I always recognised that there were deeper rooted issues. And I think now we're at a stage where we're seeing that when results have gone bad, the manager isn't actually the first one to be brought up in these conversations. For the first time, everyone unanimously agrees that there is ultimately a deeper rooted issue, and the way that Maresca was kind of set up here at Chelsea, the resources he was given, sort of the infrastructure he was given to work with, well, it wasn't what's the word, it was never destined to prosper from the get-go. And again, I think that coming into the season, there was only so much he could do with what he had, essentially. And again, I will always go back to the very important point that without leadership, without experience, there is literally nothing that you can do in a season where you're going to compete game in, game out. Like, it's just as simple as that. All of these young players, regardless whether they've had now, I don't know, a season or two here, all of these players are still very much learning on the job. It's why you see hot and cold performances. It's why we've seen players that were performing really well last season perhaps not have such a great season this year. And again, that just comes from the fact that they're inexperienced. And I guess that's what the model has been, right? We've really, really wanted to just go in for players who, one, look like the next big thing, two, have a potential to develop them as players. You know, their market value can rise. You know, there's an opportunity to make profit on them. And yeah, just almost like they've come out and countlessly said, idealize the kind of Brighton model in a similar way to what they've done with their players, to such a point where they've failed to recognize what the squad has needed in the present moment. And that's where the big neglect has come. So again, that's a big issue there. And now we look at our squads, we look at the options we have. Well, at the start of the season, guys, if all of us here, with you guys included in the chat, if we all built our starting 11s at the start of the season, they would have been different. They would have been differing. Now they can't. And one, because of injuries, two, because of players that have moved on and gone out on loans in January, and three, because of players that are just not up to scratch and not at their best. So again, we're not spoiled for choice. We no longer have an A team and a B team, as we like to joke, and it's now just very much, it's just what you put out there. Your starting 11, you kind of just wish and hope that they'll be able to grind out a result for you, because you look at our bench, it is no longer spoilt with a wealth of depth, a wealth of talent, and we no longer have a stacked number of players in each position. We just don't. And that means that whatever we do from here on till the end of the season, it is literally what we have in terms of the starting 11 that Enzo Maresca put out, which again, we'll talk about that in more detail, but I think it will be pretty much similar, obviously without Chalobah, who is injured, so definitely be Tosin who starts, and most likely, and if it was me making the call, dropping Nkunku, for example, and maybe starting Sancho. But there is not much you can do differently. That's the big problem here. We saw that Enzo Maresca did try something different. He did opt for a change of formation, which we really appreciated, because we're deprived. The football is dire. We're not exactly blowing teams away, and we're not playing in a system where, again, we're going out there, we know our game plan, we are tactically flexible if things go wrong. No, it's really become a thing where send those players out and just hope for the best. But you look at your bench, there aren't those players that can change you a game, that can come on, get you an equaliser or see out a result. If you've taken the lead, a player to come on and add a second and a third to put the game to bed, so you're not fighting for your life come minute 70. And, you know, I think when I was watching it on the TV, there was a graphic that came up, guys, where it said that Aston Villa had conceded a lot of goals after minute 70. And I just sat there and I looked at my TV and I was like, yeah, they're in no danger of doing that here. If anything, It's vice versa. If anything, Chelsea will concede. And that's exactly what happened. So the fact that we've become predictable from being an exciting team that we were excited to watch and playing our good football, we've gone to being a very predictable team. But let me go to some of the comments. To anyone who's just joined, welcome, guys. Thank you very much for being here. It's been a hot minute since I've last been live, so appreciate my live audience will take time to build, but I appreciate every single one of you. It's tough times, so we've got to have each other's backs here. But yes, like the video if you haven't done so already, and let's say hello to some more of you in the chat. Hello, Stephen. Good to see you. Wins over a very poor Southampton and Leicester will just paper over things, and we will be back to type and we'll lose Arsenal. Even if they don't have a striker, they'll still beat us. Well, RC, you're right. And what you say that, yeah, okay, it won't really paper over things, because I think reality is that we are poor and we're not great, but there is a certain expectation there that we absolutely must be winning those two games. Like, there is absolutely nothing, because it's not crazy, for example, to lose an Aston Villa. Like, I'm not saying that on paper, coming into the season, we knew that Aston Villa would be our rivals, right? For top four, they're competing, etc. They're in Champions League football. They've got what we want. And, you know, when you're coming up and playing teams like Southampton and Leicester, there is an expectation that you must win those games, especially when you find yourself in the form you are now. I just cannot imagine or fathom a world in which we lose those games. And guess what, guys? If we do, God forbid, lose to Southampton, we are no better than the Graham Potter season. No better at all, because we literally lost home and away to them before they went down. And well, where are the improvements? Where is the improvement? And again, I just cannot imagine that. We beat them 5-1. There was so much excitement around us when we were playing them there, the way we were scoring our goals, the way we just were going for more. And there was no content. There was no feeling of being content with one goal. There was literally this hunger and desire to go out and get more, to score. We were scoring 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, even, guys, 6. And now we've gone back to old ways. And that's the thing. And there's, like I said, there is really a lack of room. There's no room to go out and change something, because again, we are very limited. Enzo Maresca is very limited, hands tied, with how much he can actually do from here on to the end of the season with the squad, right? So what's going to happen is we're going to opt for the same lineup pretty much. Yeah, fine, this should actually work, hopefully, against Southampton. And you know, they've been exposed defensively a lot. It will be a lot easier if it all goes to plan to score against them. But then again, what is going to be the game plan to go in and face the top teams, or the teams that are further above us? In the reverse fixtures, we've got a really tough run coming up after these games. So what do you do differently? How do you surprise your opponent? How do you set up in a way that you're not predictable? Excuse me. Hello, Jordan. Big up to you. Stephen says, last summer's transfers were the worst. It is not only for Chelsea, but the Prem, in my opinion. Yeah, definitely underwhelming. But I also think that we can only look at ourselves. I was disappointed with the summer transfer window. You know, this January, a whole different story. But I was still very much unhappy with the summer transfer window. We went in with supposed targets, and we left with players that, one, I was surprised that we signed, and players that didn't really appear to be on our target list. And again, completely ignored the fact that we're going to need a striker. And I still remember saying that when we beat Wolves 6-2, I said it doesn't matter, we're still going to need a striker. And what happens? The last day of the January transfer window, we once again are talking about the same thing. So you're just looking at those very obvious, like on paper, it looks like such an obvious thing, a glaring void in the team there across the whole pitch. Yes, okay, we're excited about the players we've brought in, but still so many areas left unaddressed with experience and leadership and actual quality there. And yeah, so really ignored a lot of stuff that we needed in this present moment, just because we're so obsessed with the future. I hope I arrive in time for the protest tomorrow. I hope you do as well, Mark. It will be good to see you there. Do say hello. What are your thoughts about Sancho? Is he really a stars level player? Now, this is a really interesting topic, and Jadon Sancho has been up for discussion quite a lot recently because, again, he went from his regular assist tally to being quite... Sancho's always that player that kind of looks like he's doing a lot because he's so technically gifted. The ball always like kind of looks like it's stuck at his feet sometimes. But when it comes to that final decision of either shooting, passing, squaring it or cutting it back or just doing something with it, it almost kind of feels like it's the wrong decision at times. I do think, though, he has been let down by the environment around him recently as well. There has been... if you kind of go back to recent games where we've had a real lack of box presence, and there has been just that guy missing in a lot of those games, or players that are just not making the runs, not crashing into the box. That's what Sancho is missing having, because that's where he kind of links up with players better and has been better. Like, is it a coincidence that Jadon Sancho was doing much better when, we were scoring goals? And that seems like a really obvious thing. But when all of our attacking players looked livelier, Sancho was able to do more. And now, again, it's very limited. But for this game against Southampton, I think I'd start Jadon Sancho. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. But for me, Christopher Nkunku just didn't do much. He really just didn't do much. And again, I saw in the first half... thank you. And of course, yeah, big up to Lewis as he just ended his stream. Hello to everyone who's just joined. Okay, wow, yeah, that really has just taken me by surprise. But yeah, big up to Lewis and everyone who's just joined from his stream. But yeah, I would so start Jadon Sancho in this game. I just think that, again, he's been let down by the lack of proactiveness from our front line recently, everyone missing collectively. And again, I think that Jadon Sancho, he is one of our more technically gifted players. I think you need that. And I think, again, against the Southampton, he could probably roam free, have a little bit more freedom. But he definitely just needs to shoot more. That's the thing I say with Jadon Sancho. Just back yourself to shoot more, especially now, like against, Brighton, where he literally dribbled the ball away from goal. It's just like, what are you doing, mate? What are you doing? Big up to everyone who's just joined. Thank you so much for everyone who's just come from Lewis's stream. Big up to you, Lewis. Right, let's have a look. What is everybody else saying? So yeah, that's on Jadon Sancho. But again, for me, Nkunku just doesn't do much. And can you even blame the player for the fact that he looks disinterested? I mean, he's been clearly informed that he is no longer he wasn't part of Chelsea's plans long term, pretty much at the start of the season. As soon as we'd get a good offer, he was informed that he'd be long gone. He'd move straight on. And that's the thing. How can you expect a player that's been considered for sale, not part of Chelsea's first team plans, not even a super sub, really? How can you expect him to motivate your team to wins and look interested on the pitch? But yeah, I don't even think Nkunku carries a blue balloon in his sock anymore. But I feel sorry for the player. I definitely do. Yeah, so Elliot, this is a really good question. Would you sack Enzo Maresca? There are goals to meet, guys, right? I think we can all agree. And you have to kind of look on paper. Yes, you feel sorry that he didn't have better resources. And I don't know, we weren't more proactive in the transfer window. If we bought in a striker, if we had a better goalkeeper, or just a goalkeeper of quality and not another what if on paper, things could be different. Because let's be real, a lot of the time Maresca, especially recently, he has been let down by players, right? But if we find ourselves in a position right now like we were last year, where is Europe a guarantee, then for me, is that an improvement on last season? Is that an improvement on what Pochettino did last year? But yeah, there's still obviously goals to meet. And if like he's painting it out that Champions League football is a guarantee, then he better achieve it. He better achieve it. But yeah, guys, thank you very much for everyone who's just joined. Yes, Lewis, smash the like, raid gang. I literally just saw my number like spiral up, but big up to you, Lewis. Lots of love. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Big up the Queen. Lots of Pochettino in the comments, which is just funny because, yeah, that just tells you like how much have you improved and how much have you regressed from season in, season on. And we just absolutely Can't continue this way. Would you sell Christopher Nkunku? Well, I think it's pretty clear that that's exactly the plan with him, right? I think the club is quite naive to think that an offer, what was it we priced them at, like 65 million in January? To think you'd get anywhere near that for a player that you've literally not played. You've brought him on with 15 minutes to go every single game, and he can barely just get, barely even warm up on the pitch, let alone get touches in the box or try and get shots off. I do feel bad for Nkunku because I think, any other move at that time probably would have been more beneficial for him. But I just think Nkunku is unhappy. He does feel unhappy, and it's just reflecting in his football a lot. My tea's gone so cold. That's actually really grim. But yeah, anyway. Stephen says, wasn't the rugby guy brought in to motivate the players? Yeah, well, where's the motivation? Where is the motivation? I don't really see it. But that's another thing, guys, isn't it? It's funny you mentioned motivation. It's such an important part of your game. It's such an important thing to have in football, but the players, they don't look motivated, do they? That hunger and that killer instinct to go for more goals that we saw in that sweet period before December, it's gone. It is gone. And I saw it in the knockout game against Brighton when we got knocked out the FA Cup. The players just looked like they didn't have it in them to even fight to come back or get an equaliser or just ensure they went into extra time at least. It wasn't there. And again, who's at fault for that? Well, they weren't provided the players around them that have the experience, the leadership. Like, I sound like a parrot when I say it, guys, but it's so important to have players like that. Thiago Silva was that anchor, that he would just vocalize things. He'd speak to players, lift them up, just tell them. I guarantee you, if we had Thiago Silva in that knockout game, he would have told those players, pull your socks up and get your equaliser, because we're not going out this tie like this. And you miss that. But how can you expect players that learn on the job to motivate each other when they too are as confused and as low as they are? Like, you see players like Nicholas Jackson, Noni Madueke, these are players who thrive, and it sounds like an obvious thing, but they thrive off scoring goals, getting assists. When they don't, and they go through a few games where they're not assisting, they're not scoring, you can see the drop in confidence. It is wild. But yeah, Liam says Pochettino didn't throw the domestic cups away like Maresca. Well, I mean, we don't get to sing "We're going to Wembley" this season, do we, guys? At least we did last year. 2 trips to Wembley, not so bad. But I mean, that's the thing, guys. Even when it came to playing the top teams, at least we put up a fight. Yeah, okay, you can argue we got draws and stuff, and that's pretty much the same. We didn't even manage to win and get results in our sweet periods against teams that we should have beaten. So you do worry. Like, you do worry going into the reverse fixtures against those teams. Like, what do we have better from that point? Nothing. If anything, it is worse. So on paper, those games don't look winnable at all. But yeah, Liam, no trips to Wembley this year, mate. Rainbow the Gods, Palmer needs a night in Dubai. His form is bad at the moment. Well, yeah, you have brought up Cole Palmer, and yeah, Cole Palmer has been absolved of of blame, of any criticism when it comes to talking about Chelsea because of the player he's been for us. Palmer has been exceptional. We know what he did for us last season. I really thought we weren't Cole Palmer FC anymore this year, but even in our poor run that kind of snowballed after the Everton game, he was still the one that was scoring the goals and still the one creating the chances. So because form dropped from everyone around him, I think it's no secret to anyone that, of course, he doesn't look. He's just a shadow of himself. But I think Enzo Maresca spoke about Cole Palmer today and said that, we shouldn't be relying on the player. It should be really on the whole team. But you look back at some of those games, there's too many now to talk about every single one individually, but a handful of those games, Cole Palmer was still creating chances. He was still providing through balls. He was still trying to spot runs and kind of help the players around him. But again, let down by the lack of proactiveness from other players. So yeah, but Palmer was poor. Palmer was poor against Villa, and I did say that. Again, he had chances that any other day he scores them. Like, he scores them for fun, guys. And there he is. He was slipping up and down. And I was just thinking, mate, this is so... you picked the wrong game. But yeah, to be honest, Palmer, yeah. not the greatest at the moment. Prem Talk says, hi Nina, believe we will miss Felix, especially Palmer. Well, do you know what, guys? I miss a Felix on our bench, to be honest with you. I was someone who looked at the signing and raised my eyebrows when he came through once again. I just thought, I mean, a bit futile. Perhaps would have gone for another player or someone that can at least guarantee me a little bit more goals, because he's not the most clinical. But you know what, guys? Joao Felix is a player that doesn't care. He'll come on, he'll shoot, he'll take players on, he'll try his tricks and flicks. It might work, it might not, but just that player that can come on and at least draw defenders out or cause some problems, win you some fouls. And we're missing that. So, yes, a little bit of creativity off the bench, maybe just someone to come on and liven things up. Who are those players now? Our bench is very, very thin on the ground. And that's why I literally looked at Villa's bench at one point and I said, well, there you go. You know, you're bringing on Marcus Rashford. Who else did they bring on? They brought on Leon Bailey. Who else? Marlon. And then you're looking at us. Who is there to bring on? And it's no disrespect. Tyreek George, I'm sure, is a good player. But should he really be put under the pressure of coming on to save Chelsea at this point in the season after the amount of money spent? Yeah, I'm not too sure. Sorry, guys, I'm such a waffler and I'm so behind on your comments, but thank you very much for everybody that's here and speaking. Well, putting your comments in. But yeah, honestly, there is absolutely no room for slipping up against Southampton. And guess what? We could maybe score 3-4 goals, but it won't take away from the fact that there is inconsistency to us. And this season was supposed to be the season when we built up a little bit more consistency, and that just hasn't happened. It really, really hasn't happened. But yeah, this is a good point. He slipped because he panicked, cut the ball back. But there he is. That there was a bit of overthinking there in that moment, wasn't there? Because again, Palmer's so good at he thinks for a split second. He knows where he's laying the ball off. He knows if he's taking a shot. He's picked his corner before he's even received the ball. But for some reason, there just looked like a lot of overthinking. And I won't place it down for, it becoming a consistent thing. Because again, I think even where people have made out Palmer to have dropped form, he was still there creating. But yeah, Ryan says Chelsea have a lack of balance. Attack has too many facilitators, not enough goal scorers. Midfield lacks physicality without Lavia. Caicedo, thank you for choosing Chelsea so we could sign Ryan Gravenberch. Grav is clear. Let me just plug my laptop in. Yeah, a lack of well, do you know what? I do agree on the fact that we have, facilitators, true. And to be fair, we've had a lot of those kind of facilitator-y wingers in the past, in the last few years, especially players that can create for you, but not anyone that's lethally putting goals away. And I said, okay, I will maybe forgive the directors for not bringing in a striker if these wingers do what they actually brought them in to do, right? Score loads of goals. But it's no secret to anyone that Neto and Sancho, even Madueke recently, goals should have been a lot higher. I mean, Neto, and we'll talk about Neto shortly because obviously we know that he's being experimented with now and it's maybe going to prove to be our most kind of creative, unpredictable weapon, I suppose, up front right now because of, again, the lack of choice. But not enough goal scorers. That's true. And there's too much dilly-dallying with the ball. When we get to the final third, we've often seen that because of, take the Aston Villa game away, games previously, even with Brighton, they double up on our wingers and they shut them out the game. And it's become such a predictable thing that we do. And because we didn't have any overlap in fullbacks as well, there was nothing else for you to do than just, shift it back over to your foot and just send it through into midfield to Caicedo or to Enzo so they can just switch it over to the other flank and then they do the same thing. And it's like a rinse and repeat of that. And it has become just so predictable that's why Neto and what we tried out with him could probably work. I think it will work against Southampton. But there you go. You saw that goal, just the assist and everything. Neto backs himself. He can take players on one-on-one. He's quick. But again, what is the point of having a pacey winger if nobody's going to be making those runs in to meet your balls? And I guess Enzo Fernandez, right place, right time to put that one away. But, even he kind of, not that it was an accident, but even he was like, oh, yeah, there we go. I've scored. But yeah, I think numbers in terms of goals and stuff, yeah, really, really, really lacking. But just no game changers, guys. And you look at Aston Villa and how exciting it is for them to be proactive in January with the remainder of the season in mind. And again, if we don't achieve our goals this season, of course we'll look back at recruitment. Of course we'll look back at the squad neglect, because again, so many of these decisions have come back to bite us. Because what do we do? What else are people talking about? Sorry, guys, I'm so behind. Cole Palmer carried us single-handedly over the last year and a half. He's consistently created chances over the last 4 weeks. Brilliant balls. Yeah, no, that's right. And again, like how many more goals we could have scored. You know, look at Caicedo's balls, Caicedo's clever through balls, and even Enzo Fernandez's. And don't get me wrong, they've done a lot of those. But again, nobody's on the end of them, so we don't talk about them. We don't talk about those intelligent balls forward. We don't talk about those passes in behinds, because there is not that player that's running and reading those passes, and we're just looking static and stagnated. So to a point, guys, where I've literally just wished for our games to end at minute 70. That is how bad it's been. Because again, nothing that we're doing is remotely surprising or unpredictable. And again, like, this is quite sad, but I keep going back to the point where Thomas Tuchel said he wants to build a team that no one wants to play against, and now we're a team that everyone wants to play against. And the thought of Southampton looking at us and maybe fancying their chances is sickening. It's not going to happen, but it's sickening, guys. Because again, you look at Brighton, we gave them a newfound confidence. We've obviously gave them a pretty good win. Knocked us out the tie after they'd lost 7-0, and yeah, then they went to beat us again. So there you go. It's just that predictability of we can't really come up with something new. But yeah, I really don't know. But I think in terms of starting 11, pretty much similar and identical to what we saw against Villa, except obviously Tosin's going to start for Chalobah, who sadly got injured very early on. Again, limiting our options big time. And again, I came into the season pretty worried about our defence. I didn't really think that when I looked at us across the whole pitch, I had a lot more faith attacking wise, but we all know that we were relying to an extent on our attack to see us out, because we were outscoring our opponents and we weren't really looking at our defense. Then when goals decreased significantly and we started to just lack potency up front, lack goal scoring ability, well, of course the defense was what's it called? The defense was exposed, and now we are just across all departments thin on the ground and exposed. So yeah, that's it, guys. That's the thing. Enzo Maresca, it's up to him now, and I think this is the one thing that we're going to look to him, because again, he's the one that's going to be making the calls until the end of the season. He needs to find ways with whatever he's got to make us exciting, or to actually make us come up with something that isn't going to be predictable. So yeah, if it means playing Neto up top, it means playing Neto up top. I think tomorrow that could work. However, when it comes for the tougher runs, when, you know, we're going to have to play the reverse fixtures of the games that I don't even want to look at right now, we're going to have to come up with something a little bit more creative. But yeah, what does everyone else think in terms of changes? Like, what would you guys like to see Enzo Maresca do right now that we've perhaps not seen before, that can, for example, change things that have been happening? And are you okay? I just pray that Gu is back. Shaking my head. Well, there you go. That's another player that is out. It's injuries now, and we have to figure out exactly what we're going to do. Mate, what are you doing? How do I... There we go. That's all fixed. Kai says Neto's a baller. I'd take him at Arsenal. Yeah, Neto is a baller. He absolutely is a baller, and he, coming into the season, was one of the players and signings I was excited about because he brings something different. You know, yes, he's got pace, but he's got technical ability. I said that behind Cole Palmer, he's the best crosser in the team. Again, maybe if we'd had a target man, a greater box presence for the majority of the games, then we would have maybe seen more goals and more assists from him as well. Because yeah, while I would like to see more goals from him, we certainly haven't seen pretty much any from him. He is a player that could have had a lot more assists, had a lot more numbers to his game, because he is a playmaker, in my opinion. He's quick, he can take on players, he can cross well, he knows when to shoot, when to pass. So yeah, that's something I can think of that will probably be good for Southampton. Yeah, all done, guys, all done. Right, the spam is gone, guys. Don't worry. He has been sent away. It just, yeah, you just get all types of people. But yeah, so that's in terms of our obviously attacking threat. Of course, midfield, Caicedo and Enzo have been doing a pretty good job, I'd say, even recently with how things have gone and how things have been. I think it's almost like a testament to both of them with how strongly they've been able to adapt to playing together. We know that Enzo Fernandez, when he came in, was great for us, but then he had a little bit of a tough time adapting to the environment. And again, we're talking about a young player, and maybe they saw experience in the fact that he won a World Cup before he arrived. But again, even players like that, they need others to learn from. Like, how do you possibly come into the toughest league in the world and just hit the ground running in midfield? Again, I think that the fact that we paid as much money for them, so many different factors coming into play. It's been tough for players to settle into this environment with so much change. And I just think the fact that we have no longevity and not a strong affinity with players who have been around for a while is also quite sad in a way. Yes, is the answer to that. And obviously everyone who's joined, I'm sure you guys all know, but of course 6 p.m. tomorrow, Bovril Gate before the game. Palmer had complete freedom under Poch. He doesn't have that under Maresca. I don't think that's necessarily true. I just think that, again, Palmer was the only player that was taking it upon himself to do stuff last season. Hello. I can't believe how bad Chelsea are starting to become. I still think you guys will get top 4, unlike us. We'll take Sterling, but we'll give you back Havertz. Oh, I guess you're replying to someone. We'll take Palmer and Neto and Caicedo from you guys. Sorry, Kai, not happening, mate. Reece James will get sold. The owners came in and destroyed our academy training ground. Look, I talk about longevity and I talk about affinity with players. Reece James is the last of, I mean, obviously, if you want to throw Trevor Chalobah in there as well in terms of knowing Chelsea, growing up at Chelsea, yep, you can throw them both in that conversation. But there aren't players in this squad that know the old Chelsea. Us fans are calling for it, but they don't. They've just arrived and they've been sold this new kind of project. And they were just told to believe. They were told that this is a rebuild. They were told that things weren't going to be as they were. So they're just hopping along for the ride and trying to grind out results, improve themselves and better their confidence as footballers. But let's be real. They were let down by the environment that they came into big time. And that's why you can see a lack of confidence. You can see a lack of belief in themselves. You can see this kind of second guessing themselves. And again, players like that, they need motivation from elsewhere. Like, I miss Thiago Silva so much, guys, to a point where we didn't even half replace, not even a quarter replace him, not even a third. Actually, yeah, you get the point. I'm not even going to. But it's sad. It really, really is sad because he would be there, tie everyone in. And I always say, why do we think that certain players looked like half-decent defenders, like Badiashile and Disasi and even Colwill at times? Because they had Thiago Silva alongside them. Just someone who really, really made things better, that was vocal, that you could hear him shouting constantly. Now I only hear the players shouting at each other after someone's made a mistake and they're all pointing fingers. But guys, I don't know, did anyone else notice this in the Aston Villa game? The players were literally giving each other dirty looks. Like Palmer, Neto, and Nkunku, they kind of seemed at times like they just met when it came to constructing attacks, because someone was just not reading someone else, or someone was not making the right pass at the right time, and they were literally giving each other death stares. And I just thought, guys, like, where has the chemistry gone? It's really not there. Once our injuries get back, we can go on a winning run. Well, we'll see. Thoughts on us signing a rugby star for motivation? No comment. Ownership have destroyed everything this club used to stand for. It's going to take a long time to get us this mess. Yeah, James, and I think that's the whole point, isn't it? When you come in, you buy a club, you want to scrap the whole old regime and do things your way. And that is it's kind of what you're going for. And, you know, I do want to go as far as saying that perhaps they are abusing the image of Chelsea and what it stood for, and the reputation of the club, the history of the club, the trophies, the absolutely amazing memories, and the competitive teams we've had in the past, and use that to get business going. To make money, to, I don't know, achieve their individual financial ambitions or whatever else. But yeah, you're spot on with that. So maybe they're not interested in getting an old Chelsea back. Maybe that's the whole point, which is pretty sad. Big up, Nina. Great content from a rival fan. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Are you Maresca out? What's your thoughts on the manager? No, I'm not Maresca out, but I think that he can do better. And I think, yeah, there's a lot of pressure now. And I think on the pitch, he's the only one that can really change things, because, I don't know, there's no transfer windows right now. We can't sign miraculously a player that's going to salvage our season. So he's got to come up with ways to be creative and pull us out of this mess and grind out some results until the end of the season. He's got a big job to do, but one, I think he needs to really pick up the players motivation wise. Training, I don't know what we're doing in training, but that's got to improve. The mentality, though, that's a big thing. Yes, the quality on the pitch, but the mentality as well really, really needs to improve. But that's the thing, guys. Like, we still, like, I'm sorry, but we all set out into the season expecting Champions League football. It's just, we never should have let that out of sight, and never should have gotten to a period where we're dropping so far low. And yes, okay, we have to win our next games, but we absolutely must be winning more than that. You know, you see Aston Villa, I'm looking at the table right now, we're 7th, Aston Villa just a point behind, and who's 2 points below? Well, Brighton. All these teams that we've let get the better of us when we were having great games against them. Like, guys, literally how far and low we have gotten. Like, think about this. Aston Villa 3-0 at home, one of, in my opinion, if not the best performance under Enzo Maresca collectively, where everybody put in a shift. 3-0, domination, brilliant. What happens? We lose 2-1 at the weekend, a completely different Chelsea side. Brighton, 4-2, guys. Cole Palmer scoring 4 goals in the first half. One of, again, my favourite games I've been to that, well, up until that point it was. And then Southampton winning 5-1, and here we are going into tomorrow. Like, we absolutely have to win this one. So it's just beyond me how we've gone from A to B in such a short amount of time, right? Yeah, sorry, I don't know why I just zoned out there. Would you go backwards if you finish below 6th and don't win a trophy? Yes, is the simple answer to that. Yes. And the fact that we're in the same state of mind as we were at this point last year, like, are we going to be in Europe? Do we make Europe? Do we not? Like, to me, that is regression. But yeah, no, that's a big issue, guys. But obviously, heading into sort of the last part of today's live stream, yeah, of course, really, really big things. But do you genuinely believe that Chelsea can still get Champions League football? I just want to hear some yes and no's in the comments, guys. And I think we're going to hear some tough truths. But yes or no, do Chelsea get Champions League football this year? And I'm just going to sip my cold tea while you guys discuss that. Okay. A no has flooded in, and we have a yes, we can. Oh, we got a big no. Oh, Chelsea will fall short. Okay, guys, the no's are leading the ranks right now. We've got a yes, keep the faith. If we get our key players, yes. Injuries are going to be a big thing, guys, and we've seen other teams hit an injury crisis perhaps a lot earlier than we did, and that's had a pretty bad impact on them. We have arguably hit an injury crisis at the worst possible time. Fofana and Lavia injuries have killed our momentum. This is a great point. It's a great point because, again, Fofana, yes, a player that is kind of missed at the back. Maybe not one that genuinely proved himself so much, but still a lot better than what we have seen. And Lavia is just like a what if, isn't it, Luke? On paper, it sounds absolutely brilliant, but the poor player has not had a chance to even hit the ground running for longer than 90 minutes. We've got a yes. We've got, as a rival fan, yes, we definitely can. Bournemouth will slip. Yes. Okay, we've had a few more yeses than no, so you guys have slightly raised my hopes up here. I would like to say yes as well because, I don't know, I always say this, I'm a false optimist. I'm a naturally very positive person, and again, I always just say, as a fan, you hope dies last. I always just say I might as well give up on the season right now if I think no, because what's the point? Yes, Dubs, I'll be there. I'll see you tomorrow, mate. We will. We're the Chelsea. I do like this mentality. A lot of people have called me falsely positive. They've told me to, look at reality and get back to reality. And trust me, I have. I've had a big moment of self-reflection this year, and I think for more than anything, it's just me wanting to believe that this bigger picture will work itself out. But I genuinely just think that the players, there's so much pressure on them to just deliver, and it's they don't even, the players themselves have been let down to an extent, but now they're the ones that have to salvage this for us. They themselves definitely doesn't help that we have injuries, but guys, there's nothing we can do about that. There's absolutely nothing. And let me remind you, they told us that they shopped and recruited in mind to stack us up so that when we have injuries, there's not that void in the team or the quality doesn't drop as drastically, right? Remember, that's what we were led to believe, that that's how much depth we have. Yet we're at a point where what depth is there? So that's a real blow. It certainly is a real blow. Right. Do you think Cole Palmer will leave if we finish trophyless this season and don't get top 4? I don't think he will leave this season, guys, but I think that, and I don't want to say this, but I think there could be it's not absurd to think that next year maybe he doesn't, because again, I think Cole Palmer, what I love about him is that, when players just know that, this is a wild thing to say because he's obviously phenomenal, but he knows he's so good. He knows exactly what he can do. That's why he literally said, nope, I'm going to get out. I'm going to move myself away from Man City and I'm going to go get regular minutes, and I'm going to play because I know what I can do and I don't deserve to be rotting on a bench or coming on as a super sub. And he recognises that. So Cole Palmer, he's obviously a player that's going to want to compete. I don't think Cole Palmer is interested in necessarily sitting and becoming a legend or anything like that. Cole Palmer wants to play regularly. He wants to win trophies. He wants to compete. And can you blame him? Hello to you. Sick and tired of how Chelsea play nowadays. Yep. Telling the players we are not in the title is worrying. It kills the deal. Yeah. Hello, Kaysen. I'm doing well, thank you very much. I've tried to put that weekend game to bed and freshen up. Look forward to tomorrow. But yeah. No, guys, honestly, you make some great points, and I think everyone is right in their concerns. And I think, again, unanimously, for the first time, our Chelsea fans were coming together and realising this is now beyond just the manager and who's at the wheel, really. Yes, Maresca can be doing better. He certainly should be. And we have called out his mistakes and where we think he has fallen short, where he could be doing better. But ultimately, it's so much more deeper rooted. It goes further beyond the manager. But of course, yes, he is the one that will be looked at. He's the one that makes decisions. He's the one that can make tactical changes. So here we are. We were told by Leicester fans that he's not a manager necessarily who likes to switch things up. But right now we need it more than ever. And he did it, which gives me at least a little bit of faith that, you know, again, he will try and change things where he can. He's made big decisions. You know, he did drop Sanchez, and now we know Jorgensen's in goal. And while he's not doing an amazing job, guys, if Sanchez got as many games as he did, making the mistakes he did, then I don't think he's going to be dropping Jorgensen. But yeah, I mean, he was shaking his head at the end, and I just thought, oh, mate. Yeah. Tough times, guys. Also, kickoff is such a weird time tomorrow, guys. It's at 8:15. Our kickoffs have been all over the place recently, but yeah, it's a bit of an awkward one, 8:15. But that's fine. It gives us more time before the game. Yes, is one positive for that. Chelsea FCRK, thank you very much for your super chat. Enzo Fernandez is the reason of defensive imbalance. Lavia, Reece barely played. Gallagher saved us last season defensively. Plus, he had a goal, he had a goal threat. Yeah, I mean, well, what do you mean exactly by is the reason that Enzo is the reason of defensive imbalance? I certainly hear your frustration there. I mean, Lavia, just imagine a fit Lavia, guys, this season. It's just a big what if, isn't it? And again, it's something that, do we ever see? I mean, Lavia to me just feels like a new signing every year, but he's been at the club now for a couple of years, and he's barely seen the light of day. Do we ever see Lavia fit, really? Or does his time just pass in the injury room? But yeah, like Gallagher, it's funny to even talk about Gallagher right now in this mess that we're in. Yeah, I don't really know what to say to you, but thank you very much for the super chat. Yeah, James, good point. Hope this protest is the first of many. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? There's always a start. Oh my God, I've just spilled my tea. That's really fun. Well, that's what you get, Nina, for holding it. Yeah, well, that's the thing, isn't it? That it's the first of many. I mean, you know, you start somewhere. You've got to start somewhere, and I think that it probably will be. It should be. Did you give a score prediction? No, I didn't. No, I didn't, guys. I don't really tend to do score predictions because I'm absolutely terrible. But I think, and don't get this twisted, we could so win this game like 3-1 because I don't believe that we could keep a clean sheet, to be honest with you. But that doesn't mean that we are currently we're suddenly saved. I just think that if Maresca opts for the same thing with Neto up top, and we play obviously Sancho and Cole Palmer, then that could potentially look like a little bit more of a livelier kind of attacking combination. And again, with how defensively exposed Southampton can be, it probably works. So that's the only reason. But it doesn't mean that suddenly everything is fixed and suddenly, you know, we're absolutely amazing. It's more of a I want to think this way. So imagine Enzo is so bad that Gallagher was better. I don't necessarily think that was the case. You know, Gallagher, again, guys, we're talking about such a subpar season that Gallagher was the one that stepped up really, and, you know, his work ethic and his, I guess, what you call it, just his hunger to play and just to prove himself, really, like, yeah, sort of, what's the word, improved his... Why am I struggling to talk about Gallagher in a nice way? No, yeah, of course his efforts were appreciated. I just think for Enzo it was tough. He did play a lot, and again, tough environment, very, very easy for that to happen with so much going on. And let's not forget that Enzo was playing through an injury too, which was kind of left a bit too late to be looked at, essentially. But I think, you know, you can also agree that Enzo Fernandez is a big improvement on himself. And once again, we can only be happy about that because, yeah, I dread to think what would be the case if it was the other way round. Big up to you, TBE. Thank you so much for joining and really, really appreciate your comments. Thank you very much, guys. And obviously to everyone else as well who supports the channel, is watching, liking, commenting. It doesn't go unnoticed. And I really, really appreciate every single one of you. So thank you. Thank you very much. It's a results-based business. If you're not winning and playing well, the manager will always get the sack. He has to win the next 2 games or he is in trouble. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, you said it yourself. There's nothing else there to add. I absolutely dread to think if we lose those 2 games, what happens? Because if you thought it couldn't get any worse, well, yes, it could. Yes, it could. But yes, let me get through a few more of these. Richie, yes, I will be going to the game. And again, I will be there before the game. I'll be there at 6 p.m. I will still go to the game, and I will also be there after the game doing content as per usual. So the whole shebang tomorrow. And yeah, look, again, it doesn't, in my opinion, go against the fact that we're still there to send out a message beforehand, but I will still go into the game and watch the game. And my stance on that, guys, is that at the end of the day, I still need these players, and we still need those players to grind out results. There's still a remainder of a season to go, and we must back them on the pitch to get results. We still have things to achieve, right? That's my point behind it. And if I don't go, someone else will. Guarantee. So yes is the answer to that. I will be there for everything tomorrow. Thanks for the super chat, Richie. But yeah, guys, let me get through. Oh, got one more super chat here to get through, and I will leave you to your Monday night. Enzo is always out of position, leaving defenses exposed every time. Plus, his awful offensive. Wow, you really are upset with Enzo, aren't you, Chelsea FCRK? What's he done to you? He's awful offensively, 0 goal threat, moves like Fabregas when he was 33. I mean, he just scored for us, didn't he? I don't know. Maybe you know something I don't. Maybe you're just not an Enzo fan, but I do think that he deserves his flowers. I think his work rate has been remarkable. He is a player that cares, and he's a player that will try his best. I think even where he has lacked quality at times, the effort has still been there. And again, him and Caicedo, they've finally clicked, is I think the most important thing here. Spent a lot of money, and nobody really raises the price tag. That's all I can say. But yes, thank you so much for the tube chat. But guys, before I round this one out, let's hear some score predictions in the chat, guys. Please let me know what you think the Southampton game will be. It needs to be a win, so please keep that in mind. Score predictions in the chat, and we will wrap this one up. 2-0 to Chelsea. Luca Talksport says clean sheet. Fair play. Can't remember the last time that was. Luke says 2-1 Chelsea, 4-0 win. Okay, I like that. Should we leave it as that? So you back us to get a clean sheet and score 4 goals. 3 Palmer, 3-0 Palmer, hat trick, 2-1 win or 2-2 draw. That's dangerous. That is dangerous. Kai, 3-0 to Chelsea. Top live. Thank you. Have a great week. Thank you so much, Sam. Really, really appreciate you watching the whole thing as well. Doesn't go unnoticed. I really, really appreciate your support. So thank you so much for joining me. And yes, I am making a pledge. Is that what it's called? A vow, an oath. I will take an oath. But yes, I will definitely do more live streams for you guys. I will, once I figure out a really kind of cohesive schedule, I will let you guys know what timings and what days I'm planning these to be on, just so you're in the loop and you don't miss out if you guys would like to join. Thank you so much to everyone who's reached out to me recently as well. Love speaking to you guys, love meeting you guys. If you're at the game tomorrow and you're at the protest, then do come say hello. We'll most likely be we will be at Bovril Gate, obviously. So for those of you in London or in and around who are coming, then please do come and say hello. we have business to do. But yes, thank you so much, everyone. Please hit the like button if you haven't done so already. If you're a new viewer and you have enjoyed anything from this stream today, then please hit the subscribe button for more content like this. Thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy your week. I will catch you after the game tomorrow. Take care of yourselves, guys, and of course, up the Chelsea. Thank you.